Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Pale Blue Mama, but you can call me Amanda. Today's video is going to be a little different. I have something to say about what happened with Bill Cosby getting let out of jail. I had some thoughts and some feelings, and thought I would share that here today real quickly with you. Sexual assault is not something that I talk about a lot. It's not easy for me to. I see a lot of people come forward in social media and whatnot and tell their stories, and it gives me a great amount of anxiety, but it also, I think those men and women are very, very brave, and I think it's incredibly helpful that, for other survivors of sexual abuse or assault, that, to hear other people's stories and to know that you're not alone. So I guess it's kind of why I finally decided to say something, I guess. I don't know. When it felt to me like when Cosby walked out of jail, it felt like a punch in the gut, because for me personally, the person that assaulted me is still in my life, and I see them living their life very happily with no consequences whatsoever. They've never been held accountable, and they never will be. And when I see people, when victims of abuse and assault see somebody like Cosby, who is just so loathsome and awful, the shit that he did, fuck, get justice and actually go to jail, and the women are able to speak out and say something about it, it feels like a victory to us as well, especially those whose, abusers will never face any kind of justice or anything like that. So him coming out, especially on a technicality after only 2 years, with 60 women at least that spoke out against what he did to them, it is fucking awful, and it is heartbreaking, and it is unfair, and I am angry. I think a lot of us are angry. And the reason I wanted to make this video was because one of the things I've noticed people saying a lot of is that, this is why women don't come out and speak out against their abusers. This is why people don't report. And while, yes, that's partially it, they're missing the bigger issue here, and the fact that being able to, for me personally, it took me, 16 years to even be able to say that out loud that this had happened to me, let alone do anything about it. So yeah, going and reporting it and speaking out about it is not easy. It never is. And it's even harder when you look at some of the media these days, the people that come out and say, these women are liars, these men are liars. Anybody who, men and women can both be victims of sexual abuse and assault, but people like Trump and people like Matt Gaetz and people like Cosby, who have a lot of power and a lot of money, and they can point and say, no, that bitch is a liar. And there are actually people that believe them. And that hurts, and that's scary. So what I personally think is that they really need to get rid of the statute of limitations on all sexual assault crimes, because it's just not fair to put a ticking clock on this. And, there's only one thing with murder. I think that's the only one that there is no statute of limitations. And I understand why such laws exist for most crimes. I really do. But there is so much psychology here, and there is so much for a victim to be able to get around, to come forward, and they should be able to have that opportunity to say 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, you did this to me. You deserve, consequences for your actions. So I wanted to look at what some of the statute of limitations were for, and it goes by state mostly. So I looked on findlaw.com. I'll have some of it up here, and like I said, it goes by state, but for the most part, it's 2-3 years is the maximum statute of limitations. I was also concerned, which is no time at all, but you want a victim to be able to come out and admit what had happened and tell somebody and deal with all the trauma that comes behind having to say these things out loud, let alone tell somebody who might tell you to your face you're full of shit, which happens. So yeah, it's hard. I was concerned about, what about kids that are assaulted? Because obviously, it should take some time. There are laws that allow for, an extension of time, except what happens is that statute of limitations time limit starts when they turn 18. So they have to report it or do something about it within 2-3 years or whatever it is after having, become an adult. And that's a lot to ask. All of this is a lot to ask. All of this is hard, and it hurts, and it's fucking awful. And just to everybody out there that has been a victim of sexual abuse or assault, you're not alone. I know it feels like that sometimes. You don't have any reason to feel shamed about speaking up about it if you want. That's something I also dealt with for a long time, the shame behind it. But, it's up to you, whether you want to use your voice or not. Your comfort and your mental health is the most important, but just please know that you are not alone. There are so many of us that are hurt and angry right now, and I was going to say that's okay. It's not okay. None of this is okay. None of it is. So, I guess that's really it. I just think that it's a really simple solution, something that, I'm sure somebody else has thought about it before, the whole not having a statute of limitations on sex crimes, but I don't know. I think it's a discussion that needs to be had, and I think it's important. So, that being said, sorry, haven't had a lot of videos or streams lately. I will do my best to get back to that. Thanks for coming and listening to me for a few minutes about this. I guess I will talk to you next time. Don't forget to think critically. Bye.
There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.